All right, it's counting down.
Transmute is really about the reimagination of your music to have the freedom to perform exactly the way you've dreamed of. In this journey, you are going to be reimagining your songs from the studio and creating a captivating performance with it. We will be conceptualizing your show, designing your rig, and putting it all together to create a show-ready project in just 8 weeks.
The main reason that I was even able to take advantage of this course is that it's fully online.
It'll definitely push you, and it'll push you out of your comfort zone.
Throughout the program, I will be providing you with inspiration as you learn the tools and techniques to level up your live show. This is for All right. Okay. All right. Hello, everybody. Oh, it's so beautiful to see y'all here again. Day 2 of Transmute Your Artistry. Woohoo! I see folks from all over the world tuning in. So thankful that you're here with me and with us and with my team. And yeah, it's just so exciting. So thank you. Thank you for being here. I want to know, did anyone do your homework? Has anyone gotten this Transmute morning journal? You didn't necessarily need to print it out, but you can just write in your own notebook. This is part of the experience this week. So you may have missed that email from me. So go look through your emails and find the Transmute morning journal. And so I'm going to flip to page 4 to evolve, because today is for evolve. First of all, I realize I act like all of y'all know who I am, but maybe you don't. If you don't, I am Laura Escudé. I'm an artist, I'm an entrepreneur, and I'm the creator of the Transmute Accelerator. And this whole week, this whole event is a celebration of the Transmute Accelerator 4.0, which is starting in September. So if you're interested in joining us, definitely check out the website and fill out an application. This week is just supposed to give you a sneak peek into what the program's all about and to share with you some of my favorite artists on the planet that are doing the most amazing things with live performance and really pushing the boundaries with music and technology, consciousness, all the things that I'm interested in. And so that's where the morning journal comes into play, because with these prompts, with these questions, if we ask ourselves these questions daily, it helps us to evolve our live performances and our live stream performances. Obviously, we're doing a lot of live streaming right now. So I want to know in the chat, did anyone do your homework this morning? And it's just for you. It's not for me. It's for you. And I want to know, what are 3 feelings that make you the most lit up, turned on, tuned in? So drop these feelings into the chat if you would like to share with the rest of the community here today. Yay! All right. I look forward to seeing what feelings make you most lit up and turned on. So look forward to transmuting more with you this week. Thank you so much for being here. Today, we've got a very, very special guest, and I'm about to introduce him. But first, I wanted to talk about the Transmute from Home contest. So some of you might know about the Transmute from Home contest. It is a contest that we're doing to submit a live performance between 1 to 5 minutes. All of the information is in your email if you sign up for the event. And the winners win prizes from Universal Audio, Eventide, Razer, Native Instruments, Output, Artifon. It's incredible the amount of support that we've had this time around from all of these companies. Thank you so much for supporting this. I also would like to mention that if you're enjoying this stream, we are doing this for free of charge. But if you are enjoying this stream, definitely please donate to BEAM, which is the Black Emotional and Mental Health Collective. Please support them. Feel very strongly about their mission. So if you're enjoying this stream, please donate to BEAM. we said that because it rhymes. And yeah, I just wanted to say thanks again for being here. I look forward to seeing your Transmute from Home submissions. And I would love to introduce our special guest for today, Trevor New. Welcome, Trevor, to Transmute Your Artistry.
Hey, Laura. Thanks for having me.
Hey, Trevor.
Great to be here.
So we all met, Trevor and I met in maybe 2017 or 18 at the Ableton user group in New York. Trevor lives in New York. And we connected. We had a couple of sessions together and hung out. And I just have been such a fan of Trevor's and what he does, and feel, some synergy with what I do, because he's a violist and he likes to augment his viola with all kinds of crazy instruments and effects and all the things that he's going to show you. But when I saw the live streaming thing all popping off a few months ago at the beginning of this crazy time that we're in, I saw Trevor was doing quite a bit of live streaming, and it really blew me away, the attention to detail that he put into his live streams and just the emotions that I feel when I see his streams. So I wanted to invite Trevor to Transmute Your Artistry to share all of that with us. So welcome, Trevor. Thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, and I'm seeing some words come in the chat. I see you. I'm just going to shout out a couple of things real quick. Yes, we can post a link to Beam. We can do that in the chat. I love this. Chantal, wonder, empathy, and gratitude. Friendship. Hi, Will. Says caring. Paulo says freedom, humbleness, and love. Mistress Beats, hi. Peaceful, connected, and focused. Kane, joy, anger, and empathy. Yes, yes. Oh my gosh. Aaron, stoked, accomplished, and free. These are such good words. Thank you so much for sharing. This just lights me up and brings so much joy in my heart to see you all sharing with us right now. So Trevor, what are some ways that you have evolved your artistry? Especially I want to know during this time, because it feels like, you were doing some amazing work, and now I see your work and it feels like it's leveled up quite a bit. So how have you evolved your artistry?
Well, something that was really helpful is I happened to get a brand new computer about maybe 2 or 3 weeks before everything sort of ground to a halt. And I'd been working on a number of things for a while, but I took a lot of free time sort of at the beginning of quarantine to just kind of collect and sort of reassess what I was doing, and kind of like what I do in moments of free time before quarantine. I just kind of decided which road I was going to go on. And I guess the tough part with that, it's kind of a simple process in a way, but the challenge with that is maybe doing something that's a little bit uncomfortable. So live streaming was just like starting anything else new, is pretty uncomfortable. Like I don't want to say terrifying, but like it was pretty scary at first, especially, you think about things going down or not working. So, yeah, just kind of going with it and trying not to be worried about anything really.
Yeah, well, it seems like you went with it. I mean, you started getting tapped to do other people's control rooms, right, for live streams and perform on different live streams. I mean, it just really seemed like you really took to this. Yeah,
there was, like, right off the bat, I was working with this event called Shanghai Mermaid in New York, and the event it's very immersive and sort of interactive, and there's burlesque and singing and lots of music, and then there's this big thread of like the story and then the theme. So I kind of saw that in particular as kind of a challenge: is can I tell a story online, not pre-recorded, and kind of using video as well, which is something that I've been trying to engage with my music too. And I think probably the biggest thing that I did with that, and I'd say with my playing, is finding a part of that I really enjoy, and seeing if I can kind of innovate on that a little bit and have that have that kind of become a little bit of a centerpiece. So showing up to that process with something that I already have a strong feeling about, and then adapting that to what's happening. I think if I was thinking of processes, that would probably be the closest thing.
That's awesome. So, and tell us a little bit about your background. I mean, you're a classically trained violist. How did you get into all this crazy world of technology?
Well, I would say in a sense it goes back to my first day playing. It's like in fourth grade, and we had been working on scales and that kind of a thing, and my teacher just played some like crazy riff. It's like he just went and basically did that, and I was like, what was that? Kind of a thing. Couldn't play like a single note at the time. He's like, oh, I was just improvising. I was like, hold up, you mean you can just like make stuff up? And then that, like, who does that? Does that just sound bad all the time? It's like, no, that's like a thing. And I was like, oh yeah, I guess I know like jazz, but I didn't think that string players did that. So that kind of immediately, that interaction, because he mentioned like Bach was like this great improviser too. And after that interaction, I was like, well, what if everybody just makes everything up all the time? And from that, I found that I wanted to do as much as I can to sort of be a part of that and extend my instrument into all these different things I wanted to see happen. Because there's a collaborative piece when you're improvising with people where you anticipate what they're doing and then you get surprised by it. And then it's like, well, what if you could do all of that with yourself as well? And I had a number of sort of experiences since then that made me want to be able to do that. And in particular, pieces by Bach, some of them are, like church music and hymnals, and then others are like very, stately. And then there's a few that he wrote that are like these giant, monstrous, like almost like emotional hurricanes, experiences that go on for like 15 minutes in some cases. The Bach Chaconne is an example of that. And it just kind of, pieces like that I found like really opened up my ears and my hands, and then kind of said to me like, oh, if this dude way back when can kind of innovate in this way, maybe I can take what he was doing and push that a little bit in another direction, in my direction. So yeah, I think I was kind of inspired by improvisation, other composers, and just kind of wanting to take some risks, I guess. It is risky. But.
You definitely take some risk. Wow. And so tell us a little bit more about your journey with the technology. I mean, when did you get into all this stuff? And yeah.
Yeah, about, I would say would have been five or so years ago. I was doing a lot of improvisation with dancers and theater, and doing this sort of thing where I was going out and I was playing by myself, but then I needed to be able to interact with people in like a broader sense. There was more that I wanted to be able to do with my instrument. So immediately I was like, all right, let me try looping. Like I borrowed a Boss looping station from a friend of mine, and it's like, wow, this is amazing. I'm more than one person, right? And so I kind of did that, and then I was also looking at Ableton, and I was talking to friends and kind of getting a feel for what I wanted to do. I did not have a ton of money at that time, so what I ended up doing in my experiments was, was choosing between doing something more analog and then something more digital. I got an interface, and then once I connected to Ableton and I got my soft step, things just sort of took off. I also worked with a violinist who also is a friend of mine. His name's Todd Reynolds, he's a student in the same studio of a teacher that I studied with in Oregon. It's a HiFit student, and kind of just gave me like a really great start on how to set things up. And then in my tiny box of an apartment, I just whittled like a bunch of like tons of effects and got into Max MSP and explored everything that I could in terms of audio. It's probably spending up to like 3 hours a day on different things, and it was kind of like when I decided that I wanted to play the viola, I would say. A similar thing is all of a sudden the hours just happened. I didn't have to think about it, and it was like YouTube videos, reading different books, PDFs, asking questions, and but it was the whole goal was to be able to collaborate with other people. It's like to kind of create the ultimate series of like collaborative pieces for me to work with for myself. And working with dancers, I have this armband that I'm actually wearing right now, and I'm sure that you found too, is like when you have people interacting with different parts of your set. Like if you've just played a loop, one person's like really like going in with one loop if they're dancing, and then another is taking like the larger sweeping motives, and it immediately limitless is what I found, and I kind of couldn't get enough of that.
Wow. Well, that was apparent when we had our first session. I was like, wow, this guy has been shedding some wood, literally, both with the viola and with the technology. So it's really amazing to see what you've accomplished. So I think we should quit talking now for a little bit and just have you perform, just so people can understand what it is you do.
Okay, great.
Let's do it. Wow. Wow. That was so incredible. Thank you so much, Trevor. Wow.
Thank you.
That's just, every time I hear you perform, it just takes me to another dimension. And yeah, there's a lot of beautiful comments in the chat.
Cool.
A lot of people saying amazing things. So yeah,
Awesome.
a lot of beautiful, wonderful
Always happy
playing.
to hear
Awesome. Yeah. So can you tell us a little bit about what was going on there? Because I think a lot of people were just amazed that that was all the viola.
Yeah. I was thinking about this. Something that was a massive struggle when I first started using, my instrument with Ableton and actually almost specifically using the Soft Step 2 controller, which is like that's kind of like the thing that allows a lot of this stuff to happen just because of the nature of its expressivity. But I was really trying to get everything live, right? To play, it was a little bit unreasonable, and I didn't start off by playing everything live. And I don't think that it's like the thing that you have to do. I think there's positives and negatives of doing different ways. Playing without any prepared audio it puts like a pretty big limit on certain things that you can do, and it really tears into your tech in a way. And then I've actually started incorporating some sort of pre-recorded things, but that all sort of comes from classical playing. I feel like that sort of purist look at things, which I actually found doesn't always, say often in a lot of cases, does not always like appreciate playing using digital technology and that kind of, or even analog technology. But yeah, so getting getting to the point of using these different things was also kind of like an emotional battle at the same time, in terms of figuring out what I really wanted to do, and also being able to be confident about what I'm doing at the same time as well. So yeah, so like, I mean, I can tell you, I can even actually go by effects. Like, I can describe my different things that I did. This delay is simply an octave down delay that allows me to, I feel like it makes me sound like a viola and a cello section at the same time, like if I'm soloing. And like, that's one of the simplest things that I do, but it is just in that little bit of removing some time and dropping it down an octave, I feel like creates an effect that I always enjoyed when I was in orchestra, and is a sound that I really feel very close to. So maybe would it be good to kind of describe the setup here? Is that?
Yes, please. Would love that.
Yeah. So maybe I'll be picking up some stuff. So here's the my foot controller, the soft step 2. So this has, if I press down on here on one of these buttons, it's pressure sensitive, so that allows me to blend these effects together. So if I'm playing dry, and then this wah pedal too. And essentially I'm standing on it as I'm doing that. It's kind of like a miniature surfboard here. And I use that for launching the different things in my looping rig. And then I have this other foot controller here. This is the 12-step Keith McMillan again. You're going to notice a theme here. This one basically just sends notes, but there are a lot. It's all I use it for only switch-based things, and also as an organ pedal. So that's what this is. So I'll use this as like a bass note. So I'll play that with my other foot. And that was initially when I first started playing, I was actually using the 12-step to launch a backing tracks, that kind of a thing, as well. So I sort of alternated between backing track and then an organ pedal type deal, which I have to say I'm a lot more comfortable with it now, and I can actually feel where all the keys are. Playing it that way is super difficult. You want to be able to look down as you're playing until you get your ESP in your feet, kind of a thing. Let me see, my sort of mixer, let me see if I can lift this up. There it goes. Is the Cuneo, which I actually just put a video out about this, but this is the Cuneo, also Keith McMillan, and this allows for a number of things to happen. It's also touch and pressure sensitive. So if I have this here, this is my volume for my loops, and then auto filter, crazy reverb, and I can do all of those things kind of at different times. Each of those pads can be pretty much anything, either touch effects, pressure, clip launching. Each corner can be clip launching. I really like it. There are strengths and weaknesses to all sorts of controllers. This happens to fit closely to what my instrument does in terms of like I'm using my bow hand a lot of times, so it's like it's very intuitive to use this way. I don't know that that would be the same for everybody, so really I would say think about how you do things and whether you whether it really fits with what you're doing. With those things. And then I have another thing here, which is just a straight up it's the Q Nexus, which is also Keith McMillan keyboard. Big fan of their stuff. It's just super durable. It makes it so that I can just throw everything in a very small backpack, which was definitely needed. So I just have my case and a backpack, computer, audio interface, and then I can go anywhere. And I would say probably the most important thing that I have that contributes to my sound is just having, I really from the get-go have been able to get really solid either like a microphone or a pickup. So right now I'm using a DPA as the mic on my viola. It's really expensive. It's great. It's like fantastic. You do not want to play in an environment where you have speakers. Like it's great for streaming. So I like using a microphone for that, but I use the Schertler Stat V as my primary pickup for live performance. Works really well. I think I may actually incorporate it back in and use both. It's really nice to have that like really sort of wooden sound and then also just like the inside of the instrument sound too. And the last thing is this armband that I'm wearing, which I was really inspired to work with because I wanted to have I wanted to be able to attach a sensor to a dancer and have them control my set. So if I have, again, I'll just do like this pizzicato thing here. So as I have this going, what I can do is I can turn the armband on. Then depending on how I'm moving, and there's different effects that get put together that get triggered by movement. Yeah, there it goes. So there's a little bit more of that. I actually can't move enough in here right now to trigger all of that, because it's made for there it goes. All right, I made like a pretty massive max patch. Why is it turning off? Okay, cool. Yeah, I made this gigantic max patch to interpret the data from this thing. It's a Bluetooth armband, and it's called the Mayo armband. There it goes. But yeah, what it's doing, you're taking all these different shapes that somebody's making as they're dancing, and you have to be moving a lot for a ton of things to happen. So I'm able to sort of shape and add to what I'm doing as I'm playing right now. But there's really quite a lot that you can do if you have somebody who is a really good dancer. So that's something that I've been doing as well. I think a goal of mine is actually to use a bunch of these with a dance company, which I was getting closer to being able to do before we kind of had to take a little break. But hoping to do that when things sort of start to come back here. Are there any questions I can
There
maybe
definitely
answer?
are some questions. With the armband though, this is just your own software, right? Because it doesn't work anymore with the newer operating systems. Is that correct?
Oh, so there are different programs there are programs that were written for it that I would say that haven't been updated because the company itself is actually they've changed and they've rebranded and they're working on glasses or something like that. Was that like glasses, holographic glasses? Maybe this was so they can control things in there. I have a feeling they're gonna reintroduce that back. But yeah, this is my own. the interfacing sort of software. I wrote, put all that together, and yeah, it took a little while to kind of do that.
That's pretty crazy that you wrote your own software for that, because I remember seeing the armband before I'd met you and researched it, and then realized, okay, the software doesn't work. So I just gave up. But you actually went a step further. You made it work.
Yeah, it's not. It is not user friendly in any sense. I learned a lot by working with this specifically. There are the things that I did with this are actually very applicable to other devices. So it was a good. It was like a nice and very difficult place to start, like starting on an uphill on a bike or something like that, I would say.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, so there are a couple of questions, and then I would love to see your session. Sonia wants to know, and Sonia is a fellow classical violinist. She's actually a transmutant. She was in Transmute 1.0. Oh. So all the way back. Cool. Thanks for being here, Sonia. She's wondering, have you memorized any pieces and performed them live recently?
I'm sure that I have. Oh, yes, actually. Perform them live. Well, I mean, I've done some stuff like online. I've live streamed things. And then I did just put out a video. That's Ennio Morricone kind of video that's kind of fun.
Yes.
But recently, I've been playing a lot of Bach, and I think I have a lot of stuff memorized still. It's
of course
learned a lot of the viola repertoire.
Yeah, that's interesting. I think some people were wondering earlier about your YouTube. It's just under your name, Trevor New, right?
Yeah, it should be. I think if you search Trevor New viola, that's usually a good good way to find it.
Yeah. So another question:
also,
are you playing?
TrevorNew.com, but
yeah, we have your link and everything on on here for your Instagram, so you should be able to find him through his Instagram and his website. Another question: are you playing barefoot? And I actually want to know this too, because I use the soft step, and sometimes I find that those pedals the buttons are very, very small. So just curious.
Right. So when I started out, I absolutely had to play barefoot. And then I actually made these shoes that are really soft on the bottom, so I could feel the keys. And then eventually, right now, I can use dress shoes and play. I'm not wearing shoes right now because there's carpet, and carpet's actually tough, so I kind of have to go back to the feet thing. But if you're playing on a hard surface, like a really hard floor, you can. I mean, if you use them enough, you'll get there to where you can use them with your shoes if you're interested in putting in that kind of time. It is kind of one of those things. The 12-step is a little bit easier to use with shoes. I have very wide feet, and I can still very easily use the 12-step, and then the soft step is challenging, but I've figured that out without too much of an issue.
Yes. All right. A couple of people wanted to know if you make the shoes and Max for Live too.
Oh yeah.
Totally. Right.
Absolutely.
You could buy them coming soon from Trevor.
And actually, on that note, I really encourage people to, if you have free time, get to know Max for Live, because if there's something that is kind of really been stumping you as far as being able to find this particular thing you need to do with MIDI or audio, you don't have to build a gigantic device to fix something. You can actually just figure out something simple like routing audio in your computer. You can have it route into a track in Ableton or whatever it is. So yeah, simple fixes. There can be some pretty cool things with that.
Amazing. And what is the learning curve using Max? People want to know.
It starts off similar to coding in a way where you're okay, cool. math. I'm seeing some math. Awesome. And it'll make sense. And then it's like, okay, why am I doing this? How can I do the thing that I want to do? And then you kind of sit in that zone for a little while, and then it starts to make a little bit of sense. So I would say, what did I do? It took me maybe 3 years to get to the point where I was doing, like, I can sit down and make a patch like the one for my armband. I can actually sit down and do that pretty quickly right now. It's not super hard. So it's, if you find a goal, you can probably figure it out in like a week or two if you're really interested in figuring it out. And I like with most things, because I work with a number of people in helping them figure out how to do things like that, or just simple, maybe simpler types of things, or like I mentioned, the broadcast engineering. The most important thing that I find in instructing people is that when you're learning, you have to be really patient, and you have to really make sure that you pull yourself back a little bit, especially these days, because when we went into quarantining, like, I was helping a lot of friends and a lot, like, colleagues and different people who were hiring me sort of get set up with stuff. And the main issue for them figuring those things out was just extreme stress, kind of a thing. So my approach to technology a lot of times is like, definitely, yeah, you gotta go in and figure out numbers and that kind of a thing. But the biggest issue is not giving yourself the headspace to do that. Everybody has that space in their brain to do that, and we all have our different challenges too. But I think with something like that, it's very doable if that space is there.
Absolutely. Well, I think that's incredible that you've done that. I personally like to hire people just because I know it would take me so long to learn how to do that. But I do think that when you have a mission, and you have an end goal, you'll make it happen. So that's really inspiring that you've done that. And people like our friend Josep from Live Loop. I mean, he created that whole program just because he wanted to do some crazy live looping stuff. So, and he continued, like, I've been working with him and, giving him suggestions, and he'll come back with like an updated version for me. I'm like, wow, this guy's amazing. But he's obsessed with it. You get kind of obsessed with it.
Yeah, he's like a really great example of this exact thing. Keeping in mind, like, of course, he's super computer, comes from working with computer programming, but just decided to make looping software, which is really free. Like, it's really hard to just switch over to audio. From anything, really. I mean, it's all just really hard. But yeah, exactly what you're saying. Like, he's super communicative about stuff, which I've been really excited about what people are working on right now, because I feel like people are more communicative now than they kind of ever have about their software and the different things that they're working on. But yeah, I'm stoked about his stuff too. He's going in on it. I actually wanted to use his software today, but I have all my stuff is all tangled up together, so figuring out MIDI mapping would have been a kind of a monster.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think on that note, people want to know how you're doing your looping. So would you show us what's going on the computer now?
Yeah.
Amazing.
Head over there.
Sweet.
Just move this over here.
And just while you're doing that, those of you that are in the chat that don't know, please ask your questions in all caps so that I can see them easily. I won't think that you're yelling at me. Don't worry.
And there we go. Okay, so you can see my Ableton right now, right?
We can, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. So right now I have, so this is the Mayo armband right here. You can kind of see there's my, as I moving my arm right now, all those numbers are changing, and that's on these different channels. That has a massive patch. I'll just kind of leave that there for now. And then I'm actually routing my, I have some looping software called Logaloop that I'm using right now, which is pretty interesting software as well. I have Rick Freezer. This thing's pretty great. Takes a little bit of CPU, so be careful. I'm using 3 of them. The sound is really great. Depends on how that's being used. Also this what is that? Big Black Block looper. This works really well for me. It's just kind of like this. It's a looper that has a bunch. It has like the it's modeled after the Line 6. So it does all those things on a single loop. So I can kind of go from Logaloop to this to all of these funky Ableton loopers that I have in here that are being controlled by clips. And they can, I have them set up with some automation and that kind of a thing that can be enhanced in different ways. I've been spending some more time going through and working on my set. So even just getting the mix right. This is for the Q Nexus, which does some different things. And then this is some video stuff, which I may be showing you in a little bit, which is pretty active. But let me see, let me switch over and show you let me see, just my screen here. And there we go. And I'm just going to go right to Logaloop. You seeing that okay, Laura?
Yes, we are.
So this is Logaloop. It's a pretty great looping software. It is challenging in different ways to get it set up. It has like a really solid manual. Prior to using Logaloop, I was using Mobius by Circular Labs, which hasn't been updated in, gosh, it's got to be like 10 plus years, 15 years, something like that. It's a 32-bit program. I'd been working with Logaloop for a while as like my next thing to switch over to, and earlier this year I switched to this, and it's been really cool and also challenging at the same time whenever you have like a new software. So it has a lot of the same functions that you do with many loopers. You know, you have record, overdub, and then there's these really great, again, this is probably a little bit more intense, but you can write these different scripts. Like in order to get an octave down effect across all tracks, you have to write a script. So I have that here. I had to make this, right? So let me cancel that so I don't change anything accidentally. Let me see. And then, you know, with some of these other ones, I have like a little bit more complex type of things. So this is doing a bunch of stuff too, like switching track volumes and that kind of a thing. Let's see if I can get out of here. So I find that this software is great, but it can be it's like I'd say like very like professional grade, a little bit of programming involved type of a thing. So it's been really great to use, and the guy who makes this is really good about getting back to you. He lives in France. So very different approach. I would say like Live Loop and Logaloop have different approaches to doing this. Logaloop is maybe in a sense almost like a standalone, very much design, very heavy design based type program that works well alongside Ableton as well, but can kind of also go off into another direction. So you kind of have to wrangle it a little bit as you're working. So that's that. And let me see here. I think that's most of my set. I have my viola. This is my viola input here, doing some EQing. Some of this is like a little random. That's just off. And some of this I still use. But yeah, like that effect I'm not using right now, but I might someday again. Guess kind of hoarding different effects on here. And then for, let me see, I have a ton of sends. So if you go to returns, like I have my, reverb, delay, other delay. This I kind of use to get, this is reverb, sorry. This I kind of use to get another person, which is also me, to kind of play back with in different intervals. So to kind of get that really like few second delay that comes back. This is a great plugin, the magnetic, was it dub something or other? I can never remember the correct name for this. It is something, it's dub something
Dub
like
Machines.
that. But it's Dub Machines. There it is. Yeah, magnetic. Yeah, they should put their name on it. so not just for me. I feel like I'm not the only one. Maybe I'm the only one who forgets that. And then yeah, there's some other delays and everything in there too. So a lot of my stuff is based in being able to play without any sort of without looping, because I was originally again, like one of the original things I was trying to do was to play without looping for some reason, which just goes back to my classical sort of a purist thing. And then I discovered like looping is not just simply just looping things. It's a lot of things. And maybe I'll just mention, since we're looking at this here, I'm throwing it back into the track. This is Ebo Suite. It's like a really cool software that does video. Does video pretty well. And I'll just kind of show you real fast here. It wouldn't hurt to do this on a separate computer, but mine seems to be doing okay. So it allows me to play video in the set, kind of as, yeah, there you go. You can see that with these different effects. So I have this crazy ISF effect on here, and it just kind of allows you to do a bunch of different things. So yeah, there it goes. You can kind of see this is just grass that's been turned into some crazy like tubular type things that's going on. So I would, if I were somebody like I am me, but other people interested in trying to use video to play in Ableton, there are a few options. Ebo Suite is a really interesting one. There may be things that work a little bit better on your computer, because it is like a little bit of a power hungry program, but it's more it's pretty much all GPU based. So if you have a really strong GPU, you can run it. And then yeah, I think the only thing besides that is I also am using the Apollo X4 for my audio interface. And yeah, I think that's all the things. Yep.
Amazing.
But is there any questions about that stuff so
yes.
far? There's more, but
I'm sure there's a lot
like
more.
a lot more. But
Can you talk about the plugin that makes your viola sound like a cello? Because you literally changed my life when you told me about this plugin.
Oh yeah, there's a pitch proof. Yeah, right.
Yeah, pitch proof.
Yeah, there's so I use it in kind of combo with different Ableton plugins here. So there's actually had that on the whole time. So there's pitch proof, right? That's just like your basic bass delay, and then you throw on the grain delay with an octave down or -12, right? And then you put a put a little bit of time on that. And there's no reverb on that. If I take off pitch proof and just do grain delay, that's this. Right? Which is pretty rich. Throw pitch proof in with it. Just one of those things that just, I always feel like that works really well. Yeah. There's that one.
Definitely not too light on the CPU with that one.
No, yeah, you get like a 10% jump sometimes. I use on like my old computer, I'd throw that on and it was like 15%. Like it would just blow everything out. So I'd have to, in a show, I would have to figure out, or it's like, all right, I want some bass right here for like a little bit, and then I would throw it into the loop, and then I'd switch it off, and I'd go about my business for the rest of the show without having to worry. Yeah, I have a few things like that. Like the seems to be kind of a theme. Like when you really want to be able to do all your stuff, especially the computer thing, you can be like, all right, cool. So maybe I'll like put all the weight on this side when I'm turning. Like if you're in a car, it's like you gotta like you take like a hard turn, everybody lean to the side, But yeah.
Yeah, well, so
maybe that's not safe driving.
So there's another couple of questions about your live streaming setup. So you have a green screen behind you, right?
Yeah. I
yeah,
totally
it'd be cool
forgot
if you
about
could
that.
talk
Yes.
about the other component now that we could talk about. It's so funny when I started, we announced Transmute Your Artistry. People were like, commented, but live shows aren't happening right now. I'm like, what are you talking about? We're online. So be curious to know what your live stream setup is and what you're using there.
Yeah, I'm kind of experimenting with some actually it's not really experimenting. I've done all of these things in many different ways. So I have like a green screen back here. For people looking into getting into green screening and stuff, just make sure that you have an iron, some starch, some thyme, and maybe even like a dustpan, like with tiny sweeper. Like green screen things are extremely finicky, and when I was sort of getting into it, I thought like, there's like it's like all really well figured out. I would say the technology is not super advanced, like as advanced as I would want it to be with stuff. So you do have a little bit, to figure out, and figuring out lighting and that kind of a thing. So I have these big lights off over on the side here, which is, brings the temperature up quite a bit in this room. So yeah, I have a green screen, bunch of lights. Then I'm using OBS and then a DSLR camera that does not like the heat quite that much right now. And then I'm routing everything through my audio interface and through Loopback, which is like an audio program by Rogue Amoeba, which allows you to create virtual channels in your computer. And there's like a lot of different options really for that. Like you can use Black Hole and that kind of a thing. I like Loopback because it's somewhat easy to use in different ways, and then it stays on your computer without you having to open it, which is a little bit of a necessity for me because I have a ton of programs open all the time. Let's see if I can kind of come back here, but so that's pretty much it with that. And I use Evo Suite for video and effects, although I also use OBS for that as well.
Yes. Well, I know there's all kinds of things like unfortunately your video went out there, and I have this wrinkle over here. It's actually not a wrinkle, but it's it's the lighting. So when I move over here, it's okay. So I got to figure that out for Friday, but it's a green screen something lighting thing. So I got to get more lighting than I already have. So anyway, it's kind of always something, you know, it's always something with this stuff, but Trevor, all your stuff looks and sounds so good, and you know, yeah. Hopefully your video can come back on so we can see you again.
There it goes.
Yes.
Yeah, it's just a little warmer than usual.
Right.
So
we're all
that's
dealing with the warmth. Yeah, we're dealing with the warmth here too. So, yeah. So there were. Yeah. So. Yeah. Which DSLR capture card are you using?
So I'm actually using a Canon camera. So that goes straight in, and then I'm using Camera Live. I have a T7i. So it's T7i going out through the USB and then getting picked up by Camera Live. Then it goes into Cam Twist. Then Cam Twist goes into OBS. I have ordered or pre-ordered a Sony camera, the A7S III, and I'm really stoked to get that because it doesn't overheat at all. The camera is kind of like my last update. Yeah. So that's my.
I think everyone's feverishly Googling that.
Oh yeah. As far as capture cards, you know, Elgato has the Cam Link, which is pretty convenient. It uses like a little bit of extra CPU that may not be ideal in some cases, but it's the Cam Link goes into USB, so going from HDMI to USB 3.0 can add a little bit of weight there. If you have, you know, extra cash, what is it? The Blackmagic. It's like Blackmagic has these really great switchers that are great, that work really well, and then you can pair them with like the Stream Decks. If I'm remembering that correctly. So it has HDMI ins, and then it'll go out USB-C, which if you're using a Mac, all that stuff lines up a lot better. So what I have, it's one of those things, like what I have right now has like a lot of things in between it. So when I'm playing for or working for for 30 minutes of playing, and then I'm not using all these different things or the lights, then I don't have to worry about that limitation. But yeah, you always discover new things, like if you kind of make a show a little bit longer. So I'm actually discovering that a little bit right now. So always learning new stuff.
Absolutely. I mean, when we did the Transmute Accelerator 3.0, we started right after kind of the pandemic, and we had 25 artists who were most of them were live streaming for the first time. Some of them weren't. But we had a journey for 2 months. Everyone was learning about all this stuff together and figuring things out. And it was really cool because, you know, we had already been doing this for, you know, the last couple of years online. But then all the students brought their information to the group, and just our final performances were next level. So that's what the Transmute Accelerator is all about, is just leveling all of this stuff up and nerding out. So... Yes. We have a lot of amazing people that are lined up for the next one. So thank you all for being here. Another question from Gloria. Who is your audience, and how do you describe what you do? What genre?
Oh, that's a great question. If you can help me with that would be
like avant. I mean, I call my sound future classical. But yours is like, I don't know, avant classical. I don't know.
Yeah, I kind of looked, because it varies so much. Like if what I did, like for example, like what I did with my album is I took these shows that I played over a course of about 1.5 years, and I just took the recording straight from that. and then I just put it together, and it was like exactly what I wanted, because I was developing the pieces as I was performing. So each time I would play, I would add something new, because there's a lot of improvisation in them. And I went back and I listened to a solo from one show, and then I went to another show, and it's like, okay, so like 80 to 90% of the notes were exactly the same, which wasn't something that I was aware of. So within that genre, I guess a lot of times I write down just classical electronic, and then I've had people say that I'm like an ambient composer, which I don't. I feel like it kind of pushes in a different direction. But maybe how I could describe this is my goal when I'm playing is to, like, with the sound that I'm making, is to provide like a tactile experience, but also maybe make it so that you can have a movie running in your mind, which is like a very powerful object that I used, I still use when I'm playing. So I'll think of a very specific story, and I will try to tell that story as best I can through my playing. And specifically, like a really, really great example of that is really just the first piece that I played on this type of setup that I then developed from the first performance of it all the way to performing it with a group and like being like an electroacoustic soloist with orchestra and that kind of a thing. It's this piece called The Whistler, which went from being very like highly improvised, but having this very steady thing, and then becoming something new. So I think that I have very strong classical roots and perspectives, and then also jazz, and then there's like the thing that I can't think of what the word is, but there's it's a kind of nostalgia. It's a Brazilian word called saudade, is I think how you say that someone described my playing. It's like, yeah, this is the word that I would use, after one of my shows, which is almost like the word haunting. So I've thought about this a lot and I haven't really settled on anything, but I keep kind of circling back to those different things. Feeling very powerful stories is very central to why I even play, I would say.
That's amazing. Well, it's so beautiful to be here with you today and to hear your music. If there's any last questions, please all caps them to me before we kind of sign off. We've been on here for a little while, and we know that it's getting very hot in Trevor's room, as it is in mine. That's why we planned this a little bit earlier in the day, because of the heat. So any other last questions, please all caps in the chat. Yes, and we are, I almost forgot about that. We are going to jam. We are going to play. Yeah. So, maybe we could do that. I don't see. Oh, Sonia wants to know about your warm-up process. Sorry, I missed that before, Sonia. What do you do for warming up? Yeah.
Usually something that's uncomfortable. Like I really like, in the city, it's really great to come off of like a rehearsal or something like that, or like be like rushing around and like run into the place and have to set up, to kind of like get I guess that's avoiding it. I guess I don't like warming up that much. I don't really have a warm up besides really playing a lot of times. The best, I mean, what I do is like a classical player. If I'm warming up and if I'm playing with like an orchestra or something like that, I'll do scales, do broken thirds right there, right, and then these octaves. Those are like it's very classical warm-ups, and then trills. And then right, and then but yeah, I think because I either play a lot or I'm exercising a lot, my hands and everything are just pretty much always warm. Yeah, it's I will say that I have dealt with like a fair share of injuries because I don't warm up or stretch as much as I need to, so I've learned to do that more. And then I also try to be really relaxed when I'm playing. Warming up's important, making sure that your posture is good and you are like only doing what you need to do while you're playing is probably more important, I would say.
Absolutely. I mean, I've dealt with quite a bit of neck and shoulder stuff from playing for so many years, so definitely got to do a lot of yoga. A couple other questions about your ideal audience from Gloria. Who is your ideal audience?
Oh, right. Oh, gosh, that's... I guess I like to think it's like everybody, but you know, I guess that's what everybody wants. Yeah, when I'm playing, I really want people to feel good, like they can relax and they can kind of let things go, and they can be. I guess it's being present, like that sort of meditative feeling. Without feeling like you have to be a certain way. Like if you feel sad, you can feel sad, and that's okay, and then you start to feel a little bit better. So when I guess the audience member that I would like to play for is somebody who is hopeful, and then maybe somebody who's not hopeful, who is like seeking to be that way. I've, you know, with all the things that I've played, there are these sort of fun off the cuff things that I've done. We're just kind of like joking around, and that's really great. And then there's some moments that are really deep, and I don't necessarily find that those are mutually exclusive, because if you're just joking around like having fun, you're developing a relationship with everybody who you're interacting with at that point. It's very communicative, versus if you're putting something out and it's really heavy, everybody is expected to just kind of receive what that is. Like, this is a serious moment. So yeah, I like everybody. And yeah, it's hope.
That's a great answer.
That is it's kind of a non-answer in everything. But
Yes. Well, okay, so last question before we jam. How do you pay the bills? This is a very straightforward question. How do you make money from music?
That's a good question. Well, a lot of different ways. I will tell you, I do pretty much anything that you can do with this instrument and with this stuff. I've been on gigs where people are like, "Oh wow, I had no idea that you played an instrument. You're really good on the computer." Like, you're like doing sound design gigs. That's what I usually find. It's really funny to me that it's like when I play, it's like, "Oh my god!" Like, everybody's so shocked that's what's happening. So I would say there's like 3 pillars is how I try to think of it. So you have performance, teaching, instruction, learning, all those things, and then innovation. That's kind of how I see what I'm doing. And what I've found is the teaching and instruction area has sort of blurred a little bit into the performance area, because if I'm going to go see a show, like see somebody play, it's cool to see an amazing musician do stuff. right? It's really cool to have a really clear story behind that, which requires a certain amount of time or like interactivity. And if you like learn things from that story, or it does different things for you, or you can go and you can talk to that person, you can be a part of what's happening. That's why, you know, these immersive shows have really kind of taken off, because it's like, how can we bring everything so much closer to everybody, and have them feel even more like, you know, like really amp it up. And it's a thing that I find it works because you are instructing in a way at the same time, when you're communicating. Like, it's a different kind of thing there. There we go. Get that camera back on. So yeah, I do. And a short answer would be, I do a ton of performance. I do a lot of teaching. I do a lot of instructing people, kind of consulting on things, either for playing, for technology. I pretty much do everything that I can. And then with all of that stuff comes trying to do lots of new things and trying to push different people to be, you know, better and better, either through performance or through teaching or through both. And I have a hard time. I can't really think of a lot of things I haven't tried like with that. And it's really fun, and I'm actually pretty comfortable now, I would say, especially like making a living doing all of these different things. So I think getting into music is getting into many different things. It's not just performing, and it's not just teaching, and it's not just building gear. They all feed into each other, and they're absolutely essential. Yeah.
Well said. Well said. I love that. And I love that you're just so multifaceted, and I just know that you genuinely love this. You love what you do. You love touching people with your music and with your art, and it's incredible to see where you've taken this. So thank you. Yeah. So would you like to? Of course. Yeah. Of course. Yeah. So do you want to play some music now?
Yeah. Let's give it a shot here.
All right. All right.
Nice.
That was super fun.
Yeah, that was cool.
Yes. Thank you. Yeah. Wow, that was fun to jam. You know, it's always interesting, like with the latency, but you know, Trevor is a boss, so he's playing to that beat and he's rocking it. So yeah, thank you all for being here. This is really amazing. Let's give it up for Trevor one more time. Yay! We can just imagine that the chat is all clapping out there in their homes for you. Thank you so much for being here, Trevor. Really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Yes,
And, and thank you everybody for the questions too. It's great. I like talking about this stuff. So don't get to do it like this way. So
yes.
Thanks for putting this together.
Absolutely. Well, I'm going to say goodbye to you and stay on for a couple more minutes to close things out. But thank you again. We'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I'll see you soon. See you on the next one.
Yes. Take care. Yes. All right. Well, wasn't that wonderful to have Trevor just blow all of our minds? It was amazing. And I see a couple of questions about our setup. And, you know, yes, we were using, hi, Shauna, by the way. We are using audio movers on both of our ends. I was having an issue at the beginning where my audio hijack session, which was working right before, of course, wasn't working. So I had to create another Ableton module in audio hijack, and then that magically worked. So, you know, it's always something, but I'm glad that I was able to figure that out. It was just kind of crazy there for a minute because I was like, I'm hearing myself and I think that Trevor's hearing me, but thankfully we've got Jules Jensen in our in-ears. Shout out Jules if you want to hop on. We've got Jules in the control room in my in-ears telling me, hey, we're not hearing your audio. Oh man.
Hey, I'm here. All right, I made it. Sorry, it's disappeared. What's up, y'all? Good job, Laura.
Yes,
Trevor,
yes.
thank you. So cool.
Yes.
I
Yes.
feel like we just did something pretty special there with LA and New York jamming together and whatnot. Oh,
yes.
man.
Yes.
So cool.
Oh my gosh. Thank you for all that you do, Jules. Jules is our program manager
Thank
for the
you.
Transmute Accelerator, and he's a transmutant. He was in the very first Transmute Accelerator way back in the beginning of 2019, and he's continued on. And so it's incredible to have him as part of the
Grateful to
journey
be
with
here.
us. And he does a lot. He does a lot behind the scenes. So shout out to Jules. Also shout out to the rest of my team who has made this event happen. Shout out Hannah and Ashley and Miles. They just finished my beautiful new website. So definitely poke around on the site and check it out. And yeah, I just want to kind of close out and say thank you so much for being here. You know, I'm going to look through the chat and see if there's things that I missed, because I see there's a lot of comments that I missed, but hopefully you got most of your questions answered. If not, it's a good reason to apply for the Transmute Accelerator. As I mentioned, and as you all know, this entire week is a celebration and a launch for Transmute 4.0. So if you're interested in diving deeper with us, definitely go to the transmuteaccelerator.com. Just transmuteaccelerator.com. Fill out an application. We are folks for the next week or so, and we do have a discount if you are on this stream. So definitely join us if that's something that you're interested in. If you want to deep dive into all this stuff, please head over to the website. And you know, I just want to remind you again about your homework for tomorrow with the morning journal. So definitely, you know, if you haven't checked it out, please check it out and look at the questions and maybe write some of the questions out. And you know, I'll be asking you about your experience with the journal tomorrow. So definitely check out the journal. Yeah, I'm sending you all a lot of love, safe, healthy wishes out there wherever you are. It's been an honor to have you with us here for day 2, and we're not stopping. We've got 3 more days of this, and Friday, it's a double header. We're gonna have Ruby Mountain and myself. I'm gonna be showing some of the newest updates to my live setup that I've been working on. So thank you all so much. And don't forget to support BEAM, the Black Emotional and Mental Health Collective. If you're enjoying this, we ask that you donate to them if you're loving what we're doing here. So much appreciation to you all for joining us, and we'll see you tomorrow or in the Transmute community. Much love. Peace. Transmute is really about the reimagination of your music to have the freedom to perform exactly the way you've dreamed of. In this journey, you are going to be reimagining your songs from the studio and creating a captivating performance with it. We will be conceptualizing your show, designing your rig, and putting it all together to create a show-ready project in just 8 weeks.
The main reason that I was even able to take advantage of this course is that it's fully online.
It'll definitely push you, and it'll like push you out of your comfort zone.
Throughout the program, I will be providing you with inspiration as you learn the tools and techniques to level up your live show. This is for you if you want to take control of your career and gain a newfound sense of creative freedom.
I wanted to have a show that I could do myself, and I wanted it to be full and cool and an experience. I wanted to add visuals and bring the productions to life.
I'm so excited for you to join the Transmute Accelerator and start this journey with me.